things is broke up in my life that only God can fix. Some things I did, it wasn't right, and really I admit I couldn't shake some certain things, was really hard to quit. I had to turn to seek the Christ, it's time to go submit. But life throw you curveballs, them things be hard to hit. So every chance I get, I gotta knock you across the fence. You gotta get up in the game and get up off the bench. Life ain't harder than you think, just use some common sense. I know the devil on your trail, God fighting your battles, gotta know he never fail. You can share him your secrets, I guarantee he wouldn't tell. How you say I'm a winner when I've been taking all these L's? Man, I know it's in heaven because I'm catching all this hell. Wiping tears from my face, but I don't think nobody care. Feeling like that I'm Jonah when he was swallowed by that whale. Lord forgive me, I got it, and I surrender, that's my prayer. Yeah.
Lord, I know you see what I've been going through. Ooh, I'm trying to figure it out somehow, but I don't have a clue. Ooh, I give my all to you.
To judge, you never know how people feel. Everybody got some skeletons, let's keep it real. It's some things that cross my mind at times that gave me chills. My little brothers got killed, man, like what's the deal? Sometimes it's like a dream and I don't think it's real. But it's like they still here cause God gave them kids. When I was walking through that storm, God built the bridge. I could've drowned up in them nights, I shedded all them tears. I gotta focus on this road that God got ahead. They call me Butta, so some people think I owe them bread. They disappeared when I was broken bad all them years. They be trying to catch up, but I be shifting gears. Just that's what it is, don't put my trust in any man. The streets took greedy and they took pretty man. I lost my little brothers back to back, really man? People don't give a, but y'all know what I'm saying.
Lord, I know you see what I've been going through. Ooh, I'm trying to figure it out somehow, but I don't have a clue. Ooh, I give my all to you. I give my all to you, all to you, you. I give my all to you, you. I give my all to you, all to you, you. There are times I just feel lost and I don't know where to turn. I'm trying to do it on my own and it ain't work, no. I feel like throwing my hands up and giving up. I get tired, but I gotta trust in you to take me higher, higher. I just stand still, all things will happen in your will. I surrender myself to you, I give my all to you. Oh Lord, I give my all to you, all to you. I give my all to you, Lord. I give my all to you, give my all to you.
What's up, everybody? This is Isaac Hover with Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Isaac Hover Jr. is our pastor. What you just watched was the newest song released by Michael Butta the Preacher Watson featuring Latrice Roberts, My All to You. I felt that this was a great segue into our discussion on today. So this is what we want you to do. As soon as you get in, hit that share button and share this with as many people as you can. Today we dealing with we pick back up where we left off. We talking about this pandemic and mental health. And there's a lot of people that's going through right now, but I believe I got some able and capable minds in this live today that is going to help us to navigate through some things. To introduce to us today, first of all, I would like to shout out my pastor, my father, Pastor Isaac Culver Jr. I know he's on watching. You know, he's one of the greatest out there. And so just want to shout him out. So first, we're going to introduce my friend, my sister, Kimberly Boone. She has her own podcast, the Mental Chatter Podcast. She's a licensed therapist, and I didn't know this until she said this on her live, and she's a breakthrough coach. So Kim Boone, she is with us on today, taking out time. So I want everybody to clap your hands for my sister, and personally, she has helped me out a lot. Kim Boone. Then I got two of my brothers, my closest friends on here. He's the youth pastor of the Greater First Church. He also works with Frank Marvan, North Township, in the Hammond area. He's worked with youth mental health. He has his own business, Access Granted. He just got engaged to Kiana Horton. Great help to his church. He is doing an awesome job on his lives. I want everybody to put your hands together like we see in church for Elder Tavell Grant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And then last but not least, amen, he is the humble yet esteemed pastor of the Tree of Life Missionary Baptist Church in Gary, Indiana. Jerusalem love him, we love him. Amen. He's doing an awesome job for the kingdom, and since he took over for the late Dr. Cato Brooks, I believe that the total that they have won the Christ is almost at, I think, over 500 people. And the Lord is using them in a major way in this community. Everybody, give it up for Dr. Eric Liddell Boone.
God bless you all. I love you all so much. Thank you, Reverend Culver and Pastor Culver, for this privilege. So happy to be here with two amazing young minds that God has gifted for a time as this. You, Pastor Tavell Grant, and my sister, man, my biggest cheerleader. I love you with everything in me, Sister Kimberly Boone. God bless you.
All right. We all know as we get started, we all know that we dealing with a lot that's going on. We dealing with a pandemic, what they call a coronavirus, that's pretty much done hit this nation, that done shut everything down. And I know the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's a lot of people that's going through right now. There's a lot of people that's going through. People done lost family members. There are people that done got affected with this virus. People done got laid off from their jobs. They say right now about 30 million people have to apply for unemployment benefits. To give you some facts, just in Indiana alone, 844 residents and counting have died from COVID-19. 15,961 people have been infected. 84,476 people and counting have been tested. And this is according to the Indiana State Health Department. In our county, Lake County, COVID-19 has killed 80 people, infected 1,586 people. About 7,447 people and counting have been tested. And so this is a lot for us to deal with mentally. And so one of the first things I want to discuss, after all that we have to deal with, all this overwhelming stuff, start with you, Kim. How we can, all throughout this, not let this take a toll on us mentally.
So I think one of the biggest things that we have to do is realize that this is beyond us and we cannot control it. And I think that's the problem. We people are extremely anxious and becoming increasingly anxious. And I really believe that some people are even developing actually generalized anxiety disorders out of this. And I'm really afraid that more and more people will develop mental illness rather, as a result of this pandemic, because of the reason that there are so many unknowns and we can't control it. And when you think about anxiety, the root of anxiety is the fact that there is a lack of control or a loss of control, whether it's real or perceived. And so when you think about this pandemic with all of these unknowns, we have no idea what's happening, when this is going to be over, if there's going to be a vaccine, if there's going to be a cure. We're on Facebook, we're on other social media sites. We see someone we know that have passed away, have gotten infected. We're getting phone calls. It's touched our families. And so it's so many things that are happening day by day that makes us increasingly anxious rather than having us feeling sense of peace or calmness. We're feeling worried and out of control. So if we can grasp the fact that this is beyond our control and even realize that it's in the hands of God at this point, there's nothing that we can do about it but stay safe, take necessary precautions, pray, wash our hands. If we can grasp hold of that fact, I think that will help us to kind of stand strong and make it through. The feeling that we cannot control and the feeling of the unknown is what's really driving us, quote unquote, crazy. And I don't like using that word, but that's the word that I can use, I think, to really paint the picture of how a lot of people are feeling. And so we're in this place of just not knowing what's coming next. And so because of that, we're not handling this well. So we got to grab hold of the fact that it's beyond us, it's out of our control, and we can only control ourselves. So if I can stay in the house, unless I have to go to work or go to the grocery store, go to the gas station, wash my hands, wear a mask, wear gloves, if I can do my part to keep myself and my family safe, then that right there is the form of control that I can have to keep my sanity and my peace.
Okay, Tavell, pick up on that.
I wanted to add, because I love what she mentioned. By me working for, you mentioned this Frank Mervan, I'm out in the field doing a lot of different things for people. And so today I was at East Chicago Central, which was a testing site. And I hate to sound so spiritual, but I could sense the anxiety in the air. You could see it on people's face. You could see it from whether they were younger to an older individual, the fact that some of these people were either depressed, and you can see it on their face. You can see the overwhelming feeling of what's going on. You know, what happens when I get up there for them to test me? You know, people were asking, what's the protocol? Why is this line so long? I need to get tested right now. So all these different things are happening, going on for people, because this is a new normal. And so I say to people, you know, in this particular time, the best thing is to prepare your mind for change. Try to get acclimated, because I think after this, things won't be the same. You will not go back to what it used to be. And if we ever do, it'll be years from now. Just understanding that things are changing, and this is causing a change in how you interact, not just with people on the outside, but even with your family. Because if they don't live in your household, they shouldn't be there. So just realizing that this is causing a new normal, and for some people that does bring upon anxiety. And so I also tell people the best thing to do is do some things that you normally do. So try to exercise in your house to create that normal feeling. If you used to go out and watch movies, watch it in your house. If there's a show you like, create a show that you watch on that particular day at that particular time. And as she mentioned, pray. You don't have to be in church to pray. God will meet you wherever you are. He will meet you in your bedroom to being in your Baptist church, wherever the case may be. He will meet you there. So doing those normal things and realizing that things are changing, I think will help people in getting through this pandemic.
Hey, Doctor, pick up on that.
Absolutely. We are dealing with something that we have never dealt with before. This is not new to some of us. This is new to all of us. Just imagine, we used to sing it and say the time is filled with swift transition, but it really is true. We are living it right now. Yesterday, I had a job. Today, I'm laid off. Yesterday, my savings was piling. Today, it's drained. Yesterday, I knew for sure how I was going to take care of my family. Now I'm scrambling. You're dealing with something that you never dealt with before. Now you are dealing with a lot of hows. How I'm going to feed my family, how I'm going to pay my bill, how I'm going to make sure that my loved ones, my wife, my husband, my sons, my daughters, how is I'm going to make sure that I can keep them safe? And those questions, sometimes when you're not able to answer, it can send you to a bad place. It can send you to worry. It can send you to depression. It can send you to be stressed out. So we got to be very careful, because like my sister and Tavell said, that you can't control some things. But even though you can't handle it with your hands, we can't forget that God can still handle it with his hands. And I looked at something that I wrote back in a few years ago that blessed me. It said that even though it might be bad, it ain't over. We serve a God that specializes in making comebacks.
Yes.
We serve a God that brought Lazarus back. We serve a God that got Bartimaeus' vision back. We serve a God that got a lame man walking back. And we know that Jesus died Friday, but made his comeback early Sunday morning. So even though it's bad, it ain't over. I know it look rough right now. I know it's tough right now. But don't forget Romans 8:28. We serve a God that know how to work all things together for good. It might look bad at the moment, but God can turn that bad back to good.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Hey, that's it. Hey, but Kip, you said something that caught my attention. That you are afraid that some people might, get some mental disorders. Explain that for us.
Because like we touched upon, like my brother just said, and Tavell said, this is now not only a new normal, but a normal that we're probably going to have to get used to for a very long time. And so as a result of that, it naturally changes the way that our mind works, our emotions, and the way we approach certain things. And so if you're someone who is increasingly anxious and have been in your home through this whole thing and have not gone outside unless you had to, the fact of stepping outside may be so anxiety driven for you and may cause so many emotions. You could develop agoraphobia and really be afraid to go outside. Just things like that. If I'm someone who have been just naturally anxious, but now the thought of going to the grocery store, someone touching me or someone coughing or someone sneezing, I'm constantly watching the news. Now I'm developed generalized anxiety disorder. I talked to someone earlier a few days ago, and even myself, and like Tavell, if we are considered essential workers, we have to continue to go out in the workforce. We, again, that word control, we can't control other people around us that we have to be around, whether it's our coworker, whether it's the clients, patients that we serve. And so now I got to not only be mindful of myself, but of them. And so all these things. And so then if you're someone who has lost a loved one during this pandemic, grief can turn into depression real quick if you're sitting at home by yourself.
Right.
If you're thinking about the fact that I wasn't able to attend the funeral, or I couldn't properly bury my loved one, or my loved one had to die alone, and you're constantly thinking about those things and those thoughts are sitting there, and you don't have a healthy way to really process it or place those thoughts, it can quickly turn into major depression. And so those are just a few examples of that. If you feel like you're in this thing alone, I'm going to touch upon that too, because people mistake isolation with loneliness. And just because I'm isolated does not mean I'm lonely. Loneliness is a state of mind. And so if I keep telling myself I'm lonely, that breeds depression. But there's so many ways that you can continue to stay connected. That's because I'm socially isolated. I don't have to be socially disconnected. I can still connect with people. But if your mind gets in this place where you become so boggled down with the weight of everything that's going on around you and you stay stuck in that dark place, it easily can turn into a mental illness. And so I am afraid for that. And I'm on this group, a private group on Facebook of clinicians of color, and we talk about that, how mental health workers, we're like the silent essential workers. And when this is all said and done, we're going to be flooded with all these new cases and all these new patients of people who need help to just know how to move on, because the world may open back up, but my mind may not open back up. And if I can't adjust to this new normal, I'm going to be stuck in this place of isolation, even though I'm able to go outside.
Now, but here go the thing. Even before this happened, um, I was reading this article was saying that 17.3 million adults in the United States had at least one major depressive episode.
Mm-hmm.
That number is about 7.1% of all United States adults. So you saying 17.3 million has had an episode with depression.
And this is the thing. Depression is the number one mental illness diagnosis. It is. Yeah. But think about this. Think about how many people that don't get treated, who are not diagnosed, that can add to that number.
Yeah.
You have so many people who really suffer from some type of mental illness, but because they're not seeking treatment, they haven't been diagnosed, that number is gone unnoticed. Yeah. I have, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, I've been posting every single day about some type of disorder or something just to bring awareness. And today I posted about bipolar disorder. There's over 3 million people diagnosed every year with bipolar disorder. 3 million people. And so with this is the thing. And so if you add this pandemic on top of that, the numbers could double and triple easily.
Easily, yeah. Now, Tavell, now tell us this. How can now, since nothing's never going to be the same again, how can we cope with this new normal?
I think it's creating a normal within it. Mm-hmm. Creating a schedule, a regimen of things that you want to make as your way of life now. Yeah. Things that you say, okay, in the morning, this is what I do. At noon, this is what I do. In the evening, this is what I do. This is how we interact with family. And even in the case of family, we have so many different ways of technology. You got Skype, you have Zoom, you have FaceTime group. You can do group calls through Facebook. So creating those different things of communicating in a different way, but making a normal thing out of it. Interacting with people in the outside world in a different way, making a normal thing out of it. I think even with my family, my mom and dad just celebrated their anniversary this weekend. And they've been married 27 years. And they've never spent their anniversary in the house. And so me being who I am and the rest of my family, and we wanted to make sure that there was something normal that we were able to create out of it. And it had me thinking, many people will have to get their mind out of the situation and put their creativity in it. Mm-hmm. And that's what will help you have a new normal in a sense of what is going on in the world. Because as I said, some things will never change. And even when it comes to children, I was talking with my niece, and not my niece, but my little cousin. She's like a niece to me, but she's only about 6 years old. And she said, "Why won't God stop COVID-19? He can. We learned that he can heal the land. Why won't he stop COVID-19?" And so this is not just a new normal for the adults, but even the children. And she's only been here 6 years in this world. But from all she knows, things have been cool. I've never seen people with masks. I've never seen people with disposable gloves. So this is a new normal for everybody. And wrapping your mind around that is really taking your mind off of what you see and saying, okay, I need to make some changes. And I think that's what will help people just understanding what can I do to make a schedule, regimen, a new way of life out of this? Because you can. You really can.
Okay, Eric Boone, pick up on that.
You said the word, how can we cope with it? How can we face it and deal with it? And I'm looking at it from a different perspective. A lot is to how you look at it. I just don't want to survive it. I want to thrive through it. Mm-hmm. So I look at this as an opportunity for God to grow me in a different way. So I believe that God is going to stretch me through this. I believe that God is going to help me become better through this. I'm not just going through it. I'm growing through it. It's looking for new opportunities for me to tap into a creativity side of myself that I was neglecting before the COVID-19 season. The truth of the matter is God has stretched me. I have found myself doing things in a different way with a different method to still try to accomplish the same type of goal, if not even making a greater impact. Just like the church in it say, even though we have not met physically, how can I still be in position to carry out my duties as a pastor, even though I cannot see the sheep physically? And God, he stretched me. He let me know that everything you was doing physically, you can do it through technology or you can do it virtually. We bless around 200 families. Instead of meeting with these families and going grocery shopping with these families, we was able to bless them virtually through Cash App or through Instacart and still make sure we meet the needs that they have. The same way, even though I couldn't have a birthday party, man, the church had a 5 police car escort, and they had, man, a line wrapped around the block just to encourage me. They encouraged me from a distance. I know that we are in a different time, but we serve a God who can still make up the difference with different. And I'm so grateful to God. I counted it as an opportunity. Man, it helped me as a businessman. It helped me as a pastor. It helped me as a husband. Me and my wife, we are doing new things. We can't go out and have dates, so we do inside dates inside the house. The same thing with the children. We do exercise night. We can't go to the gym. So I look at it as an opportunity for God to reveal some things about myself, to show me what I was neglecting before. So now I can tap into it. And I believe it'll be a shame and disgrace if I don't come out of this better and stronger if God allow me to.
Okay. Somebody just posted a question in the comments. Daryl Kirk, he's watching from Seattle, Washington.
Man, God bless you.
He said, it is almost impossible to find a mental health counselor in Seattle. And this was going to be the next question. Okay, Kim, he asked, what self-help strategies can you give?
So first, I want to let you know, is Kirk, that's his name?
Daryl, yeah.
I want to let you know that there are resources, and I know sometimes in certain areas it is difficult to find someone, but there are virtual resources in which you can seek out counseling. So you can go to betterhelp.com, Psychology Today, Therapy Talk, Ayana. Even if you go to different social media sites for people like me or other therapists, we are offering virtual therapy. And so you just have to just reach out to someone that can provide therapy in your state, but it is available. And during this pandemic, it has been opened up by all of the governors for us to allow virtual therapy in states that we're not even licensed in during this time so that people can receive help. So help is there. So even if you want to reach out to me for some resources, you can message me on Facebook or Instagram, and I can help you connect to some resources. That's number one. But some self-help strategies are, for one, I say that you need to get to a place daily where you can sit with yourself and be still and be in tune with your thoughts and emotions. That is key. We have these racing thoughts, we have these feelings, and we ignore them. And we continue to ignore them every day. And then we look up and then they're unmanageable and then we start falling apart. But if every day I check in with myself and say, how am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling emotionally? And how am I feeling spiritually? Am I connected to God? Have I prayed? Have I gotten to this place of peace? Am I hearing his voice? Am I only hearing my voice? If I only hear my voices, I'm in trouble. Because my voice is going to tell me some stuff that ain't right, that ain't healthy, and that is not of God, and it's going to send me spiraling out of control. So you got to get to a place where you are still and constantly checking in with yourself every day, your mental, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual state. Two, I say that you need to do some cognitive restructuring. And what that means is kind of change your thought patterns. Stop the negative thoughts immediately as they come and look and see, are these thoughts rational or are they irrational? Most of the times they are irrational. And we've kind of imagined rather, and conjured up these things that kind of we ran with them and made them a reality when they're not. And so when our thoughts are detrimental to us, then it affects us physically. It affects our emotions, and then our whole body starts to become disconnected, dysfunctional, of dis-ease because we're out of control. So you got to be still. You got to pray. You got to check in with yourself. And then you have to change and Stop those thoughts. Another way people feel like, oh, I don't know how to stop my thoughts because they're automatic. You can, but it takes practice. And if you feel like it gets difficult, an easier way to do it is what I like to call is take a step back and look at my thoughts. If I have a thought and I step back and now I evaluate, what was I doing when this thought came? What was I watching? What was I listening to? What was happening? Who was talking to me? How was I feeling? Now I'm so focused on evaluating the thought that the thought now can't overtake me because now I've gained control of the thought. I'm on top of it. Thoughts are something that's in our mind that's not tangible, we can't hold, but we allow it to control us. And so we have to realize that we put the thought there. So since I put it there, I'm in control of taking that thought away.
Yes.
So just to recap, I got to pray. I got to be still. I got to get into a place where I'm in tune with my mental, my physical, my spiritual, my emotional self. I got to get to a place where I'm learning how to change my thoughts, stop my thoughts, and take a step back and evaluate what's rational and what's irrational. Those are some coping skills that you can do every single day.
Elder Grant, pick up on that.
Before I pick up on that, I wanted to add, because you mentioned where some helps. At my job, we have a mental health wellness hotline number. We partner with some organizations such as Regional Mental Health and Clarity Clinic, and it's 1-800-706-2751, 1-800-706-2751, 1-800-706-2751, and it's 24/7 if anyone wants to call for help during this time. But I love what she mentioned about self-awareness and just being aware of what you are thinking within your mind. And that definitely helped me last week. I truly felt burned out. In all honesty, since all of this has happened, I feel like I've been working more than I was working, when we weren't in a pandemic. And I just felt like it was something constantly each day that was going on. And mentally, I was exhausted of trying to think of different things, what I had to do. I had a schedule, but I still was missing certain things that I was supposed to do. And I just was exhausted mentally. And I got to a place where I was reacting to people out of my burnout in a way that wasn't right. I was cynical, or I was mean towards them. And I had to reflect on, okay, what am I doing wrong that's causing it? What should I change about how I'm doing business? What should I change about how I'm doing ministry? What should I change about how I'm working that's causing me to feel this way, where I'm reacting to people in a way that's not appropriate, or I'm saying things that I probably shouldn't be, I normally wouldn't say to people, or I'm angry towards people when I normally wouldn't be, because I'm burned out. And I had to be aware of myself. And it went back to my thinking, my thoughts in that moment. Then once I got in touch with what I was thinking in that moment, I had to realize, okay, that my actions are now leading to what I'm thinking. Now, how do I fix those thoughts? And as she said, I had to say certain things to myself to fix how I was thinking. And not only did I say certain things to fix how I was thinking, I changed the way I did things. So this week, I have a different type of schedule. I got my schedule in my phone, not just written down in my notes, but I actually have it written down on a piece of paper as well. I also changed out, okay, this is the day I'm going to do this task for ministry. This is the day I'm going to make sure I handle this for work. This is the day I'm going to make sure I handle this for business. Because I think some people are mentally exhausted, are having these different thoughts and problems due to them just not being acclimated with what, as I said, what is new to them, the change that is going on. And so, as she said, I love what she said about being aware with yourself and actually thinking these things through.
Okay, pick up on that, Eric Boone.
I was studying something earlier, preparing for this session, and I came across something that is that deals with called negative self-talk. It was talking to yourself in a negative way, not somebody else talking to you, but you talking to you. And then they tagged it, calling it negative self-talk disorder. And what is that? It's anything you think or say out loud from a perspective that it won't work rather than it can work. Or anytime that you think or you over-focus on your fears instead of your strengths. It's always looking at something in a negative way. Anything you think that limits you, the beliefs about your future. So what does that sound like? It sounds like nothing never goes right for me. It sounds like it won't work. Okay, this gonna be one of those days. Why even try? I'm a person that's dealing with bad luck. I can't do this. I'm stupid. I'm not able to do it. Everybody can do it but me. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at math. No matter what it says, it's always saying something negative about yourself. Now, this what blew my mind. I discovered something that changed my life. And what it was, you ever heard the saying that you are what you eat?
Yeah.
But now you're not just are what you eat, you are what you think.
That's right.
You got to be careful on how you think even about yourself, because if you got nothing but negative thoughts, you will become a negative person. If you got nothing but selfish thoughts, you will become a selfish person. So you will be just like the thinking that you have to yourself. And the reason why you can be thinking is because of your bad thinking. And you got to be very careful, because now what God is saying, that like my sister said, these self-helps, you got to pray. You got to go to God in prayer. You got to hear what God says about you. You got to get back in your scriptures, because the Bible tells us a lot about ourselves. It let us know that we are fearfully and we are wonderfully made, which means that we not junk. It means that you are a masterpiece because you've been pieced together by the master. God put his hands on you, and everything that God put his hands on is valuable. It said you the head and not the tail. It said that you are more than a conqueror. This is what the Bible says about yourself. But if you're saying something different, that means that I got to change something, because if you change your thoughts, you can change your view and you can change your life for yourself. And I just want to always put some scripture on it. I remember the woman with the issue of blood. She was in a bad spot. The society said she was nasty, that she was contagious, that she was somebody that we need to stay away from. But what she did, she talked to herself. And she had a different view of herself than the world do. And what she did was talk to herself to get back hooked up with Jesus. And what Jesus did was show what she thought of herself on the inside and made it public, because she healed on the outside. I'm going to tell you that if you just get back to God, get back to the feet of the Father, and start thinking of yourself in a healthy manner and line it up with scripture, that you will feel different as you go through this pandemic.
That's right.
Hey, this is what I want y'all to do. If you just got on, I want everybody to hit that share button.
Hallelujah.
Share this with as many people as you can. This is such a powerful discussion, because you saying something and it just settled in my spirit. One thing we can't do is lose our confidence in God. That's one thing we can't do, because we got to understand through all of this that we serve a present God. That God is still here. Because even in Psalms 46, it says that he is a very present help.
Talk about it, man.
So we got to understand that, guess what? That God is still here, even in this stuff that's going on. So we can't lose our confidence, in God, because guess what? He is a very present
That's all. That's all.
in the time of trouble. Because let me tell you something. I always say, I talk about myself. Even this started hard for me and my family. Before this stuff got out of control, we had to bury an uncle. Then right after that, we had to bury my grandmother. We couldn't be with my grandmother in her final hours. My cousins couldn't come and see my grandmother for a final time. We had to do a 10-person funeral at the funeral home. This, to be honest, this took a toll on me mentally, because it was just a hard time, and got to put grief on top of that. And so Kim, how we can, even with people going through grief, to lose it all in their mind.
And that's tough, because losing a loved one in a normal world, so to speak, is hard. And going through that grief process is just difficult in general. So when you add this on top of, like I said before, when your loved one's having to die alone and everybody can't go to the funeral and trying to plan it, or, and you got to watch now, funerals are being shown live through Facebook, not even privacy anymore. The whole world can see you grieving. That's very difficult. But the only answer I know how to give is to take it to God. And that's just it. Because he is the only one for real that can take your mind, that can comfort you, that can ease your mind, that can ease the pain and take away the pain. You have to give it over to him. When our father passed away, yeah, I got some therapy techniques I can use, but I prayed. I had to go to God and say, God, I need for you to heal this hurt, heal this pain, deal with my mind, touch my mind from these thoughts that I'm having, because he's the one that can really heal you. And so I admonish everyone to give it over to God when it goes to grief, because there's only so many times you can talk to yourself when the reality is your loved one is still not there. And so when it comes to using those techniques with trying to change your thought patterns and switch those thoughts, it's difficult because this is a reality. This is one of those things that this is not an irrational belief. My loved one is gone and this pain is real. But if I can learn how to pray, like my brother said, and I can go to the scripture and I can go to God and I can read these scriptures. If I can put on some worship music, if I can get in my prayer closet, if I can cry out, if I can lay prostrate and I can say, God, this is bigger than me, I got to give it over to you. That's how you get free from that. And so if you don't really go through that process of grief in a healthy way, in the right way, once again, you can fall into a deep depression because grief will overtake you and turn to depression real quick. So you got to get to the place where you're constantly praying and constantly asking God to touch your mind, touch your heart, comfort you when you feel weak. Lord, give me strength, because I know that, that your strength is made perfect in my weakness. So I need for you now to be my strength because I can't do it. And so that's the thing. I want people to understand that when it comes to things like grief, that is a real thing. And so as a mental health professional, I'm not going to tell you to pretend like your hurt is not real and to pretend like your loved one is not there. You have to properly grieve and validate your feelings, own your thoughts, because they are real and they are there because you are suffering. That's natural. And we know to be absent with the body, be present with the Lord. And we're rejoicing that our loved ones are going on to heaven if they are saved. But it still doesn't mean that right here on earth, we're not missing them and that we're not longing for them and we're not suffering and we're not hurting. So the way to go through that grief process is to pass that thing over to God, the one who can really handle it.
Yeah.
Because we can't do that by ourselves. We just cannot. And then on the mental health side, I say do seek a therapist that can help you, that specializes in grief and bereavement, that will help you really learn how to go through that process in a healthy way and manage your feelings. But God is the answer for that one.
That's amazing. Okay, here go another thing. And you broke that down so well. Okay, now we're in a point where we see governors are lifting restrictions. And how can I put this? Have we created a culture that we always depend on people? How can I put it? We always got to be around people. Always got to kick it with somebody. Be around a group, either at church, house, club. I'm just gonna keep it real and everything. And people having a hard time dealing with this stay-at-home order. Have we created this culture that we have to be dependent and being around people all the time? Come on, Tavell.
I think for some people they have. Some people need people. I mean, if you look back all the way back to when they were in school, for those who sought attention, who wanted to be popular, who wanted to be with the in crowd, some people just naturally gravitate to that, where they have to be around people. And for some, because they are not able to, that has brought depression or anxiety or a certain way of feeling. But I think in this season, it's important that we use wisdom. Regardless of how you feel or who you want to be around, you have to take into account that if I come around the wrong person, I will end up having the virus. And so what's more important, being around a lot of people or being safe? As we saw in Chicago and Atlanta, all these different people getting together, thousands of people gathering together. And for what? When you're going to end up gaining something that for some you may not be able to get rid of and can ultimately lead to death. And death is serious. It's not worth it, considering you want to be around your boo, your babe, your A1 since day one, your ride or dies, your crew, your squad, whatever the case may be, your gang, however you want to call them, they ain't worth it. They're not worth it because what's going to happen is only 10 people can show up at your funeral, as she said. It's not worth it to be around the in crowd. And I've been to some of these funerals. I do live stream for them, and it's sad to see. You were there at one. You were ministering to see 10 people there. One of them was for a young person, and 10 of them are there, and it's streaming. It's not even. You can't even wear a T-shirt to celebrate their life.
Right.
You got to watch it online and share it. It's not worth it just to say I was able to chill with my bro today, or go have a hoop session, a smoke session with a drink, a party, whatever case you're gonna do. None of that is worth it right now. It's about staying home and staying safe. And regardless of what the government do, you have to take care of your own life and do what's best for you.
Pick up on that, Dr. Boone.
All right. Well, I want to challenge that, man. That was excellent, Tavell, man. God bless you. I'm so grateful to hear you say what you said. I want to challenge our generation. You said, have our generation adopted this type of mindset that we need people. In actuality, our generation has been fighting to be independent. We big on all the women that's independent. Oh, I'm a young boys. I'm a self-made. I don't need nobody for nothing. So, but this actually COVID-19 let us know that we need people. Yeah. When you see your loved one sick and they need to be on a ventilator, you need them essential workers that's risking their lives, that's going to those hospitals, them ENTs, them nurses, them doctors who even risking their health to make sure you or your family members stay alive. Let me tell you something. God has put us in each other's lives for a particular reason. We need each other more than ever before. But that's the reason I practice social distancing, because I need you. That's the reason I move in a healthy way, because I need you in this moment, in this crisis. I don't want to lose you. I can't afford to lose you. The grief we talking about will be magnified or multiplied times we don't know if we don't practice this social distance. That's what I said. I thank God that he allowed me to be 6 feet away, because if I want 6 feet away, I could be 6 feet under. And we got to be very careful what we're doing. Now, do we need people? Yes, we do, because nobody has everything. God did not give anybody everything, but God did give everybody something. So when everybody to bring together everything, what they got, then everybody got access to everything they need. That's the reason I practice the way I practice, because listen, I go through this thing knowing that if I can go around you, I can be the cause of you losing your life, or if you come around me, vice versa. And if anything, we ought to be moving in a healthy manner to make sure everyone get a chance to survive. Man, that child has lost a mother. That son has lost a father. There's some parents that have lost children because we haven't taken this thing serious enough. Yeah. I just want to echo this. It's time for us to stay home. It's time for us to make sure that we practice social distance. It's time for us to bring a curve to this trend. We have too many funerals. We have over 1.1 million people has been affected. Close to 70,000 people has lost their lives. Those are not statistics. Those are real human beings. Those are 70,000 caskets. Those are 70,000 obituaries. Those are 70,000 funerals. Man, this is real. We need to make sure, like you said in Chicago, and even in New York yesterday, man, there was so many people around each other. Just because it's hot outside or just because it's nice outside don't mean it's safe outside. We got to be smart. We got to make sure we use wisdom. Now, we're not scared. We're not fearful. We just careful. And we know that God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but he did give us power, love, and this what I like, a sound mind. They say common sense, but listen, common sense ain't always so common.
Ain't always so common.
And I'm grateful to hear Tavell and my sister Kim and yourself. Man, we need to make sure that we stay healthy, that we need to make sure that we practice this social distance, and we need to make sure that everything we do, we just don't do it with ourselves in mind, do it with somebody else in mind. Don't be selfish at all, but think selflessly, because it could be that time you come out and drop your guard can be the time you not only get it, but take it home to your family. God bless
you. To take it from my perspective, my whole household work in the healthcare industry. Hospital. My wife is an ICU nurse. It could take a toll on us mentally, but we praying together much more.
Hallelujah.
That the Lord will give us strength while we at work. You know, it's hard to see on one time. When we enter the hospital, we have to have our temperature taken.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be asked a lot of questions. I've seen the fear on people's faces when they loved ones roll them into the emergency room and security say they have to go. You know, I saw the fear. I mean, all I could do was just stand there, and what I did for this one, I stood there, I dissed myself, and I just prayed for them. You know, just to see the fear in their faces. And I'm so glad that you said this, Dr. Boone and Tavell and Kim, that it's time for us to take this seriously. Just because it done warmed up outside don't mean we got to go out and congregate. You know, they broke up a party at a club in Gary, you know, because they was out there congregating. You know, it was a whole bunch of motorcycles on the 11th by your church on Saturday, just out there congregating. You know, it's time for us really. I mean, it's funny, but it's the truth. You know, it's time for us to take this seriously because you know we have to adjust to this new normal and this new normal. You look on the news, but one thing we can thank God about is this: there are more people recovering from this than there are dying.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
You know, that's one thing we can rejoice for God about. But the news is going to um, give us all the negative reports all the time. So, Kim, what can we do to maximize this time to be more productive?
So, and kind of like what my brother talked about earlier, we have to take advantage of this time that we have. If you're working from home, you got to tap into, and like Tavell said, that creative side of you that you have, those things that you've been putting off for so long. If you've been trying to or wanting to start a business, start looking into resources, start calling up people who you know are successful in businesses, start connecting with people, get you a mentor. If you've been trying to write a book, sit down and start writing a book. If you don't know how, Google. That's why we have Google. Go online and Google how to start it. Enroll in some writers' workshops. You have to start thinking about what it is that I have been putting off that I can do now. What are some things that I have been procrastinating that I know would make my life better, that now I have the time to do so? And so you got to start sitting down, making a list of those things. My brother and I talk all the time. We have so many goals, so many things we're trying to do, but we're not just talking about them, we're implementing them. And so when we're on the phone, we're saying, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm making this happen. This is who I connected to. Hey, I talked to this person. Hey, let's do this. We should do that. We're constantly challenging each other. So you got to start talking to like-minded people. Don't keep calling the people who ain't trying to do nothing. Quit talking to the people who are staying stagnant, the people who don't have the mindset to move forward. You got to link up with like-minded people. And you got to start thinking about where it is that I want to go. When I come out of this thing, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the same person? Do I want to go backwards, or do I want to be a new person? Do I want to be debt free? Am I going to now start saving money since I'm not spending money like I used to? Am I going to start to invest? Am I going to start looking into stocks and bonds? My brother called me all the time talking about stocks. He's forwarding stuff on Instagram, but still because he's saying, look, if I'm getting better, my sister's gonna get better too. So we're constantly talking about how to make each other better, how to help promote each other, and doing everything that we can. But it's also going to change in your mindset. Back again, if we keep sitting here, woe is me, woe is COVID, everybody's dying, what's happening, and you stay in that space, then you will never move forward. Take advantage of this time and the opportunities. I have been talking about doing a lot of different things when it comes to business, but I have actually now really sat down and made connections I never thought I would make. Because when you start moving and start doing stuff, God will start opening doors you didn't even know it was waiting there for you because He sees you start doing the work. But if you stagnant, then He gonna stay still and say, okay, I guess she still ain't ready. I guess he still ain't ready. But then when we see you moving, okay, she good. Here goes some more stuff you didn't even know I was bringing to you. Here goes some more ideas you didn't even know what's sitting there waiting in the back of your mind. I was waiting on you to meet me there. So you got to get in a place and a mindset of working and wanting to be productive. My brother and I talk all the time, and I told him, and we even prayed the other day, and I told him I've been praying this for a long time, for years, and he didn't even know until recently. I pray all the time that my daughter and his children, my nieces and nephews, won't even know what it means to be in debt or have lack. That between me and him, we set it up for generational wealth for their children and their children's children, so that from the Boones and the Watsons for years to come won't even know what it means to have lack. They won't even know what struggle means, but they'll also know how to serve, how to invest, how to be smart, and more importantly, how to give.
Mm.
It starts with a mindset. And so I admonish everyone to link up with like-minded people. You can't get better staying with that same crowd if that crowd ain't moving.
That's right.
Hey, Tavell, one thing about all of these people on there, they are entrepreneurs in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, she just started a podcast, Mental Chatter. Uh, Eric Boone got his hands on a million different things. And Tavell Grant, Tavell, I want you to talk a little bit more about what you're doing, your business, everything that you're doing, and expound on what Kim was talking about.
I want to say, as far as my end with business is concerned, I think the name of my business is Access Granted. And I've always looked at that as a way of branching off to do many different things, not just what I'm doing now with social media management and graphic design and website, all the different things, but give people access to anything and everything you can think of, that I can possibly put my hands and my talents and gifts to. And in this season, I feel like I've really been planning and writing out exactly what is the next businesses or ventures that I want to step into, and using this time to plan for that, so that when the season is over with, I'm not just going back to what I was doing before, but I'm ready to step into it once everything changes. Because really, the only reason they're allowing people out is to open up the economy. But
Yep.
once the things have actually changed and we can really go out there and be safe, I want it to be that I can step into that next thing that I really want to do as far as business is concerned. So if you're an entrepreneur, as you mentioned, this should be your time to plan. You should be writing the vision and making it plain, gathering resources, finding out people can still respond via call, via email, looking up on websites. What are people doing out there that's similar to what you're doing? YouTube is a great resource. Go on YouTube and find some tutorials or some things that can give you vital information, because maybe you weren't able to go to school. But I can tell you, as good as I know, that there's somebody on YouTube that has given a video perhaps to what you want to do, as it concerns the business. And I want to add this. I think the reason why we are distanced from people, I think it's so God can allow us to be near to him. And so in this time, we must also not only plan, our dreams and things that we want to do as far as our goals and with business, but for some of us, this is an opportunity to create a prayer life, a word life, a worship and praise life, because many of us didn't have this before when we had so much things going on. But now that we have the time, choose that time wisely to create a prayer life, to say, you know what, I'm going to start my mornings now with prayer.
Right.
I'm going to make sure that at noon, I'm going to pray. I'm going to make sure that throughout my day, I'm going to find time to read my word and to praise him and to worship him, because many of us were just churchgoers. But this is giving us time to actually seek God and seek the Lord. So I think also doing that as far as planning for your business and being an entrepreneur, but really creating that lifestyle with God, because many of us didn't have it before now.
Hey, Dr. Boone, Pastor Cover just typed something, put something in the comments. He wants you to weigh in on this.
Yes,
He
definitely. You should go ahead.
Let me read this first.
Okay.
This is from Pastor Cover. He asks, do the practice of social distancing and stay-at-home orders show a lack of faith? How are we dealing with the tension of faith and science? Because
Amen.
some are sending a raw message. Weigh in on that.
I believe that practicing social distance requires faith. Um, I know that I look throughout the Bible. I always put scripture with it. This is not the first stay-at-home order that has ever been issued to preserve and maintain life. I even look at it with the birth of Moses. When Moses was born, It was a decree out by Pharaoh to kill any Hebrew boy, male child. But the only reason why the enemy's plans, or the only reason he didn't die, or the only reason his life wasn't taken, or the only reason the enemy's dreams didn't come to true for Moses' life as a baby is because guess what? God hid him. But what blew my mind is not the fact that God hid him. What blew my mind is where God hid him. Moses' life was preserved because he was hid in the house. And then that word hid is a word that doesn't just mean to obstruct one's view, but is a word that means to be put up because I got plans to use it later on. And that's what God was saying. He's saying, listen, the word later on means that you got, so watch it, I got plans to use you in the future, that this is not the end for you, that God is letting me know that he set me up to do some greater things even through me. So I believe it takes faith. I believe that it's not a sign of being fearful, it's a sign of being faithful. And it's a sign also to be having faith in God's word. One thing God said was not only to love him with all our heart, mind, and soul, but this what blew my mind. He said to love your neighbors as you love yourself. So I stay at home because I just don't have me in mind, but I got my neighbors in mind. And I want to make sure that we all are safe. And just like I want to live, I want you to live. Just like I want to survive, I want you to survive. And a lot of times, a lot of people do take it at a different route. They say, man, I got faith. I'm just go anyway, or this sickness ain't gonna touch me. Listen, you can be saved and still get sick.
That's right.
You can be saved and still catch this virus. Matter of fact, that's why Psalms 103:3 say he heals any manner of disease. And I'm grateful to God because, and let me say this while I'm dealing with this. Let me take away this ideology. A lot of us as Christians say, I'm not claiming it. Where did we get there from?
Right.
God has never said not to claim it. Matter of fact, he asked, he said, what do you want me to do for you? Bartimaeus said, I'm blind, I want to see. Notice how he didn't say, I'm not claiming this blindness. He said, I want to see. And God healed him. Matter of fact, sometimes the revelation of what you had could be the setup for God getting the glory to let you know that I had something, but God healed me from it. And the same God that healed me is the same God that healed you. Sometimes the revelation of it is the setup for your testimony. So it takes faith, hallelujah, to practice social distancing. And I just want to commend Pastor Cover because Pastor Cover has stood in the way, hallelujah, to make sure that the body of Christ will see an example of how to lead in the right and healthy manner through this ordeal.
Yes, and we want to commend Pastor Culver, we want to commend Pastor Boone, Bishop Tavis Grant, and all the pastors who have dealt with this pandemic, because here go the truth. And y'all can agree with this, that no pastor hasn't pastored through a pandemic. This has taken a toll on pastors because they're used to seeing their people. You know, they're used to going in and out the hospitals, being with their members when family members are going to surgery, teaching Bible study with their members, discipling their members, you know, to help them get to the next level in Christ, to get them from faith to faith and from glory to glory. So that's why we have to hold all our pastors up in prayer, because there are a lot of criticizers out there trying to tell what the church should do. But it's a lot of pastors that is on their face daily praying to God, asking God, what should I do?
That's right.
That's why, you know, we can't, you know, be criticizing. We need to be praying and uphold our spiritual leadership. Another question came through from Ashley. Asked, Kim, you can deal with this, how to deal with being discouraged.
So, first of all, I want people to understand that when you're feeling discouraged or you're feeling despair, you need to first of all tap into what it is that has you feeling that way. Because if you just say, oh, I'm discouraged, but you're not really looking at why you're discouraged or how you got there, then you're going to stay in that place. So for one, you got to sit down and examine, how did I get here? And sometimes that answer is me. I got myself here. And so sometimes I got to deal with me. But you have to really look at why you're feeling discouraged. And once again, recognize that some of this is a mindset, and our minds can trick us into putting us in this place of despair that we don't have to be. Sometimes we're discouraged and we're burdened down about things that really shouldn't have taken us to that place. But because we didn't deal with it in the moment and we didn't deal with it properly, now I'm feeling discouraged. Now I'm giving up. Now I feel hopeless. Now I don't know what to do because I didn't place it in its proper place. And so everything, we are born naturally to feel emotions. So I don't care what it is, sad, anger, happiness, anxious, whatever it is, we were naturally born to deal and feel with these emotions, but it's what we do with them that matters. So if I'm feeling discouraged, I need to look at why and how did I get there? I need to examine, is this me? And do I need to deal with me? If it's really gotten to this place where I feel like it's debilitating and I can't move forward, then I want to seek help. And then once again, I also want to pray. When you think about these things and when you feel in anything, I don't care, any emotion that make you feel uneasy, you have to surrender it over to something greater than you. Because the fact that I feel diseased, that means that I can't control this. It's uneasy because I've lost grip of it. I've lost handle of it. So now it's controlling me. So if it's controlling me, then I can't do anything with it. So I got to give it over to something greater than me, and that's God. And then God will lead you on what to do next. Do I need to go see my doctor? I need to go see a therapist. I need to seek my pastor, whatever it is, but you have to give it over. For me, I say all the time, the reason why I feel like I'm an expert when it comes to anxiety, because I dealt with my own anxiety. And I would be so anxious all the time, and I felt like I couldn't quite manage it. And whatever techniques I would do, that I'd show everybody else, it wasn't working on me because I knew what to do. So it was almost like it was counter-effective for me. But what worked for me and really helped me learn how to manage it is one day I came home and I cried out and I said, God, I can't take this no more. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling like I've lost control of me. I'm tired of masking my anxiety. I'm tired of feeling like I'm all over the place all the time and everybody think I got it together. I don't want to do it. It's too much. Everything that's burdened me down is too much. Take it from me. And I got on my face and I laid prostrate in the living room by myself in the dark and I cried and I gave it over to God for real. And when I got back up, all of a sudden, anxiety was easy to manage. My thoughts were easy to manage. There was a peace over me that I didn't have before because I realized this thing was bigger than me, but I gave it over to Him who's greater and bigger than everything. And so when you're feeling discouraged, you got to own, first of all, how you got there and then know who to give it over to.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. Since we're about to, and Tavell, you can deal with this. Working with your dad in ministry. You could be an encouragement to associates. How can you help your pastor, help him to adjust to this normal?
Well, I think for my dad, I told him, I said, I got you back. I think that reassurance, the parishioner or member letting their pastor know, we got you. We're not going nowhere. Even though we are distant from you, we're still here. We are still a member. We're still going to watch you live, whether it be on Sunday, Bible study. We're still going to tune in to the prayer call. We got you. And in my case, I wanted to make sure that he knew I got him by giving creative ideas that will continue our goal in ministry. There are still things that we wanted to do this year, and I'm going to make sure that we do them. And I think as the members, it's important that you encourage your pastor because it's a lot on them. As you mentioned, they can't see you. They can't touch you. They can't hug you. They can't love on you. They don't see you when they're preaching to you. And for many of them, that does cause anxiety and depression, I think. So in this season, is making sure your pastor know you got them. If you got their number, text them and say, hey, was thinking about you and praying for you. And that will uplift their spirit more than you can think of. If you say, hey, send a seed to your pastor, a love offering. It's not that you're just trying to do something to do it, but you're sowing a seed towards encouraging them, letting them know I'm with you and I got you. And I think even now, my dad's birthday is coming up on Monday, and we got some surprise things going on. He doesn't know about it. And these are things that members of our church came up with. I didn't have to say nothing. They said to me, hey, this is what we're doing, and you make sure you're there. So, so just things like that to let your pastor know we didn't forget it was your birthday coming up, even though all this is going on. And I think finding different acts of encouragement to your pastor will bring that support that they need, because they're preaching to a screen at this point. They're not preaching to the crowd. They're not seeing you like they normally do. Even if they get to hear your voice in the conference calls, nothing like actually being around your members, especially if they're sick. You can't go see them at the hospital, especially with what's going on. Some family members aren't even allowed back. So definitely reaching out to them the best way you can, I think, will be the encouragement that they need to uplift their spirits.
Okay, Eric Boone, I know you had something to say. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to help the young lady that was asking about overcoming that discourage. A lot of times, discourage is made possible because you didn't get the outcome of what you expected. Anytime you have expectation, and then your expectation doesn't match the experience, it leads to you becoming discouraged. But my sister blessed me the other day. She don't even she'll remember when I say it, but it blew my mind just because it didn't happen the way it happened. You was looking for a yes, but you ended up with a no. You ought to get it grateful and excited because that word no was spelled N-O, which is an acronym for next opportunity. And why you can't stay down, because this experience ain't got to be your last experience. God got a greater or even bigger or better experience waiting on you. I know you lost something, but if you stay right there, it'll be more expensive to not get and enjoy this next experience. So that's what I wanted you to say. Just because it didn't happen the way you wanted to, it could be because God had better. And if God just would have gave you that, you would have been settled on at one level when God is getting ready to take you to another. So I just wanted to encourage that lady in that manner.
This is what I want y'all to do. If you just came in here, I want you to hit that share button one more time.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
if you have shared this with as many people. Okay, Pastor Cover, adding some more comments he wants y'all to expound on.
Oh, what's that?
All right. In this pandemic, we talked about how there's a lot of people is feeling some economic pressures.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a lot of people that got letters in the mail talking about they was going to be laid off, furloughed. People have to file for unemployment. People haven't got their benefits yet. People got stimulus, but to be honest with you, that was probably used for some catch-up money to catch up on some bills that people are behind. And see, the thing is that for the lack of money can cause a mental strain on a lot of this, but this is adding enough pressure. I'm gonna read articles that steel mills have to lay off thousands of workers. People's income is being reduced. Kim, give us some tips on how we can not let this take a strain on us mentally.
I think it's tough because that's one of those things again that I said, that's something that's real that you can't ignore.
Yeah.
It's not an irrational thought to try to figure out how am I going to feed my family if I just got laid off and I don't know the resources, what I'm going to do. And it's hard to find a job in the midst of a pandemic when a lot of places are not open or not hiring new people because of what's going on. So that's something that's real. So the only thing that I can say, is to look at ways to be creative, to figure out how to bring in income. Is there someone that I can reach out to, family member or friend, to help me, find free resources that are helping with groceries, things that churches and other people who are helping to pay bills and help pay rent. This is when, like Tavell said, I got to come into my creative side to figure out what is it that I can do to help offset this income. Because it's very difficult and it's not something that's simple. And I'm not trying to make the answer simple, but that's something that's very hard because if you're in the middle of a recession or a pandemic, finding a job is just something that's not easy. And there are some people who literally will lose houses, lose cars as a result of this. And that's a real thing because the resources may not be there. They don't know how to reach, find the resources, or resources run out, as we know with the small business loans. Look how quick that money ran out and really was going to the wrong businesses to help sustain. So businesses, fell apart as a result of this. And so not the loans, but you know what I mean, the stimulus to help the small businesses. But so try to find any resources that you can to just kind of help you. Be creative, be resourceful with what you already have. Like I said, and then look at ways to say, okay, now how can I cut back to still keep us going. Think about ways that I may have been overspending, where now I can look at how I can start budgeting better. Where if now there's no eating out, cook. You know what I mean? People are still not taking advantage of cooking. This is an opportunity, especially for our Black communities, to start eating healthy. But instead of doing that, people are still going out and going to getting fast food and Pizza Hut and McDonald's when we can be sitting at home cooking meals every day. So this is the time to think about that, to reevaluate how we were spending, and what we were doing and how we were living. But that's just still tough because the reality is right now in the state, finding a job, especially depending on what industry you were working in, is just very difficult. So looking out for resources to help and leaning on God and your family and friends to help you make it through this time. I mean, it's just tough.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because you said some things that is key of being resourceful and trying to figure out what people throw out streams of income.
Mm-hmm.
I know my mother, is one of the most resourceful people I know. It's a demand on, if you're a seamstress, people, it's demand on making masks. There's people that's hitting her inbox, and I know others inboxes every day because guess what? She know how to sew.
Mm-hmm.
She was making masks for us. Now it turned on, oh, first lady doing masks, they hitting her box. And it turned into income by just being resourceful of just making masks or finding out that passion, finding out that purpose. How we can be resourceful. I can see our pastor putting the comments that we must cook. Go back to cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, it taken us into a survival mode of how our grandparents or our great grandparents, how they made it when they couldn't afford to go to McDonald's, when they couldn't afford to go to the restaurant.
That's right.
My late grandmother, God rest her soul, she cooked every day. For her husband, or if we was over at her house. So you're exactly right, Kim Boone. We must be resourceful. Come on, Tavell, pick up on that. Being resourceful.
I think this is the season that we will see a lot of entrepreneurs birth. And
Mm-hmm.
and in these times you have to look at what can I do? What can I put my hands to? Because a lot of people feel like they've missed their opportunity to actually go after what they really want to do. And many went on with their job because it was enough money at the time. It was what was going to put food on the table, what was going to pay the bill, while they neglected what they really were talented and gifted in.
Mm-hmm.
And for many, if you have lost your job or even in the season, this is going to put you in the place where you have no choice but to do what you're really destined to do, to really do what you were created to do, to create that business, whatever the case it may be. Like you said, it might be sewing. For somebody else, it might be writing their book. For somebody else, it might be starting a podcast like him. Whatever the case may be, all of these different things that you create, you can make money off of it. Somebody will pay you to use your gift. Somebody will pay you to do what you have mastered, what you have created. Somebody will pay for it. And you have to be willing to put forth a good package enough, a good product enough during this season that somebody will say, I want to put some money towards that. And be willing to do it. Be willing to put the time into it. Because although you feel uncomfortable, because you have to do it due to you having to make ends meet. But without pressure, where do you go? And so this pressure is going to burst the pipe that's going to open the flow of income that you probably may have not received due to your job. And you can build wealth from it, I think. So this is going to birth a lot of entrepreneurs this season.
Yes, and I believe that too. Is going to birth a lot of entrepreneurs this season. Because one thing that is ringing now is now you have the time to sit and plan and create.
Mm-hmm.
Sit, plan, and create, and let me put something in front of that. Pray. And ask God to lead you and guide you in all areas of the truth. Okay. Here go a thing. Okay, a lot of parents, are dealing with children that have to adjust to this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of children has to, from going to a classroom, with their peers, got to sit at home in front of a computer, and while the schools are trying to master this e-learning thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Eric Boone, be an encouragement to these parents that have to deal with their kids all day now.
So for one, I know they appreciate teachers now more than ever before. But it's a time that that you get the bond with your child. You got to spend more time with them, and it's a time where you got to go back to school yourself. A lot of times, my children don't know that when they sleep, if I know I got to work on a particular subject, I'm up at night practicing, getting ready for them in the morning. I want to encourage you that, listen, in order for them to get better, you got to get better. That's just the truth of the matter is with me and myself. And I count it as a privilege. I get to teach my child, and implement certain life skills and normal everyday things that they do in school. And so when we doing math, at the end of the day, I'm putting tithe in there. Letting them know how would you tie with this or how would you tie with that, to let them see the God principles that I desire for them to practice that will set them up to be great stewards, like we saying, even with this food and things of that nature. So even tomorrow, they used to have home economics, home ec, home,
Yeah.
My son, Pop, he said he cooking tomorrow.
Go ahead, Pop.
And he told me and my wife it's a surprise. But if we ain't gonna let the surprise happen, he gonna let us know first. And not only is I'm doing the regular schoolwork with them, don't forget gym is a part of it.
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure that they stay healthy, that they exercising, and I make it fun and games. I call it Chase Mama. We played Saturday night. We played Chase Mama and Chase Daddy around the house, but they don't know I was actually setting them up so they can sweat before they go to bed, because they try to play the game all day on the weekend. So I just been trying to come with fun ways just to make it a family fun event, to make learning fun, to set it up in a way where not only, you can just enjoy what they learning, but we can enjoy each other while we're learning. So I just want to do some things to kind of spin off just to make it enjoyable.
Hey, Kim, you got a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
How give us some tips with our teenagers to keep their attention?
Pray.
Hey, for real, hey, I got an 11-year-old. I have to call because my situation is a little tough because I'm in a co-parenting situation. But me and my daughter make sure we contact each other every day. Mm-hmm. She if she don't hear my voice, she calling me or I'm calling her. Hey, did you do your work? Because she a straight A student, so me and her mom try our best to stay on top of that. And she's getting bored and she complaining to me about some stuff about teachers. So Kim, with our older children, because I know you got a junior in high school, what kind of steps are you taking to keep your child focused during this time?
So for one, I have to stay on top of her to make her stay disciplined, because teenagers by nature, they don't have no discipline. Mm-hmm. They want to do what they want to do. They want to do things on their own time. And with her being an honor student with all these honor classes, she doesn't have easy classes. So she don't have time to not be focused and not take breaks and stay on top of it. But I can say that this thing did teach me how stressful it is for her as a student in a way that I didn't see before, because I was kind of getting on her about one of her classes and her grades, because they come to me and I can see them all the time, like text messages when a assignment is missed, something I turned in, when her grades come in, and I can hear it in her voice, and I saw her face, and she just looked overwhelmed. And so it made me take a step back as a parent to look at how she's feeling and the toll that this is taking on her too. And we had a conversation, about it. And I changed my tone and I changed my approach. And I said, you know what, Casey? I said, it's okay. It's hard. I know it's a struggle. I know you're having a hard time. Let's figure out how to make it work. What can you need? What can you do? What do you need? So, like my brother, so I went on YouTube and I found some guy that was supposed to be this math genius. So he had all this stuff on trigonometry. So I'm showing her, look at these YouTube videos. Let's look at this man. The teacher emailed me. I'm emailing the teacher. I'm printing out the assignments. I'm saying, okay, let's figure out. The teacher telling me her office hours is online. So I had to adjust it because I'm real big on education. And I got this from my father. I'm tough. He was tough on me. And I see her, she's very smart and I'm tough. But I had to realize she's also not me. She's a different child. And this is different times. And I wasn't in Andrean in the pandemic. If I was at Andrean in the pandemic, I'd been just like her. Andrean wasn't no joke at school. So I can't imagine being there, And so so as a parent, you need to be mindful of your child. Check in, recognize the toll, that it's having on them, and especially with a teenager, because they are very social beings. So not being around their friends and not being able to participate in activities and seeing their friends on the weekend, that also, just plays a part in it. And you got to think about it too. One of the things I realized, I didn't even say this to her, and I probably should share it with her. I realized, looking at the online schedule, a lot of these teachers have their office hours at the same time. So if I'm struggling with more than one subject, now I got to pick and choose who I'm going to check in with.
Yeah.
And then my other subjects may fail. So it's stressors that they're facing that we're not dealing with. And then the pressure of being an honor student and going to be a senior next year. I got her online. We're doing virtual college tours. And I'm on top of her. Pay attention. You got to pay attention. So it's like I'm still focused. And she's probably like, lady, you need to calm down. But so me checking myself as a parent, I think has been helpful, and being mindful, but also though creating that structure and being on top of her and letting her understand the importance of this is you're getting prepared for college. I said it's a blessing in disguise, because when you go to college, you got to be on your own and you got to be able to get yourself up, go to class, focus on these assignments, study, because I'm not going to be there to help you. So it's a catch-22, but I think as a parent, check ourselves and being mindful and checking in with them about their stress levels.
Yeah, our pastor, I'm gonna read his comment because first of all, this is National Teachers Appreciation Week. We want to shout out all the teachers.
Yeah.
All the teachers, because I know my parents are teachers. My brother, Pastor Maurice Culver, a lot of people. I worked in a school, before all of this stuff shut down, and I see, what teachers have to go through. But now got to shift and work from home and learn all this stuff on the fly. I just want to shout. We just want to appreciate every teacher out there.
Yeah.
That adjust and cope with this new normal, because we know it's not easy. We want to shout out every parent out there that is have to be at home with their children all day and help them with their schoolwork. So I just want to let you know, man, we appreciate y'all, for everything that you're doing, for everything that you're doing. Our pastor said this, Pastor Isaac Hover, he said that we must invest in computers for our children instead of smartphones.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. This is a new vital part of the new normal in a child's education. Because e-learning is going to be with us for a while.
Right.
To be honest, Elder Grant, we don't know if the school's going to open up in August.
That's right.
We don't know.
That's right.
We have to, condition our children to for them to be disciplined and put them in a structure, like Elder Tavell was saying earlier, structuring their time. You know, I had to tell my daughter on the phone, hey, man, you can't lay in bed all day. You got to get up and do this work. And everything. This is not a vacation. You still got to treat it as a school day. Elder Tavell, Elder Grant, if you want to add to this.
I definitely think for everybody, as I mentioned, it's a new normal. But for children in particular, as a parent or a guardian, you have to put that discipline in them because that's what school creates.
Yeah.
School creates discipline within us, understanding that you have to get up, you have to be responsible, you have to do these different things. And I definitely believe that computers are necessary. I love technology. And in seeing how people are using Google Classroom, yeah, they have a smartphone, and you can get to Google from your phone, but you need a laptop. You
Right.
need to be able to type some things out. You need to have a way of getting on Word to type out your paper, whatever the case may be. It is very essential that you get a laptop. And I know for some families, it's not an affordable thing to perhaps purchase a computer or a laptop, but there are resources out there who will help in supplying one to your household, even if it's just one laptop for the entire family. It is necessary. And I want to add, even with the teachers, my fiance, she's a second grade math teacher.
Right.
And I've been helping her with creating her videos for e-learning. And they've kind of put it where one teacher for second grade does all of the book work and grading papers and putting up the worksheets online, and she does all of the videos. And of course, that requires me to shoot the video and edit the video with her, all that good stuff. But it just amazes me how much work they have to put in to create this online experience for them. And so as parents, they have to make sure that their children take it and be appreciative because it's not an easy process putting that together for them. Many of them, I don't know what all teachers are doing, but I know some teachers are really putting in an effort and a work to make sure that the children are still learning and still growing. And so I commend you all for still making sure your children are learning because some parents are. Some parents are just letting their kids still sleep in the bed and not get up and actually
Yeah.
do their work, and allowing them to literally fail in their assignments. And now some teachers are saying, when we do get back to school, that first or 2 months are going to have to be a review because some people haven't been learning still. Some parents haven't been making sure that their children are still learning. So I commend you all for that. I really do.
I commend you all.
Hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a small break. We got a presentation from the Greater First Chorale, Greater First Chorale, the award-winning Greater First Chorale choir.
Okay.
So we're gonna watch that, and we're gonna come back with some final thoughts in a few minutes.
Representing the Chicago region in the 2010 House with the Sound Grand Finale is GFC Chorale, Greater First Church.
Yo, we back. We back. That was the Greater First Chorale singing Holy Holy, the award winning
Amen.
Greater Chorale.
Amen.
Travis Grant is
Thank you. Thank you.
Tavell is the youth pastor that was under the direction of Elder Carl Hearn. Amen.
Yes, sir.
In that clip. So we thank God for them. I think we kind of went over our time. You know, this I had a format, but I guess God organically led this conversation in a way. You know, we want to thank my sister Kim Boone, Elder Tavell Grant, Pastor Eric Boone. Now, one last thing, and I want to start with Pastor Tavell Grant and Dr. Eric Boone and Kim. You finish. This is a time where we have to stay connected to our church. So our last thought for the day started with Pastor Tavell. Give us some things on, because I know there's a lot of people saying, man, I can't wait to get back in church. You know, give us some ways that and then I'll specify your church. I know on Facebook that we can watch about 100 services on Sunday, but how can we stay connected and support our church during the season?
I think number one, giving.
Yeah.
Tithes and offerings. That's one way to continue to be connected to your church and support, even through praying for your church family, staying connected. But as I mentioned, Zoom. One of the things that our church, we're going to start doing is Zoom calls where you get a chance to see each other. We've been doing it with our leaders, but we want to expand it for our members as well, where we can all get on Zoom. We can see one another, have somebody's playing some music, and we just have some fun, clean fun, but enjoyment with your own church family. Even with the young people, I'm going to have a Zoom call. I've been doing Bible study with them on every other Saturday online, but just to talk. How you doing? Checking up on one another. We made sure that each mother in our church has been called, if not every day, every other day. One of the ministers and one of the deacons are calling the mothers of the church. Even this weekend for Mother's Day, we're going to each mother's house and we're going to do a parade. When we drive up to their house, Bishop's going to drop something off, and so the rest of the members are going to do a parade celebrating each mother, saying Happy Mother's Day to them. I think those are different things that people can do right now to stay connected and to love on one another, because we need each other during this season. Mm-hmm. And so if you got a church member's number, just text them. Some people don't want you to call them. You may have to text them first before you call them. Or I'm the type of person, don't FaceTime me. Just call me and text me. So but reaching out to them in some type of way to say, hey, how you doing? Praying for you. I think those are some of the basic things, and just praying for them that will help in connecting in this season.
All right, Pastor Boone.
And we have been staying connected in a multiplicity of ways. What we do is we specialize in checking on each other. We have created teams to make sure we call each other and just to see how each other is doing. We make sure we call and do not only just collective prayer calls, but we have different people to call individuals and pray for them personally. And what we do is just we specialize in letting us know that we are family, how much you mean to us, and do you need anything? That's what we've been big on, checking on each other. How your groceries looking, how your money looking, you need help with a bill, you're dealing with something, do you need a prescription filled? What we've been doing with our elders, with our mothers and older deacons in the church, we don't want them coming out in this pandemic, so we've been doing their grocery shopping for them. So we've been going out to keep them away from the crowds and to keep them away in the stores, because they're more susceptible of getting sick. So what we've been doing is I went to Walgreens and got medicine. We filling prescriptions. We making sure that they see family at its best in a time as this. I have been doing our Zooms with our leaders as well. But what we've been doing, because we tune in together every Sunday as a church. So what we do is we put different pictures of church members, because we ain't seen each other faces in 6 going on 7 weeks. So when a picture pop on the screen before service and while the music is playing, we get a chance to see each other still virtually, even though we can't do it physically. And we keeping our youth involved. So we have videos sent from some people in our youth department, and they'll be doing some dancing videos to the gospel songs, or just saying, Pastor Boone, I love you, or Tree of Life, we love you, or Emily, or do the welcome. Welcome to Tree of Life, everybody. Get ready for a word from God, just to make sure everyone is connected and seeing it. Even we have people that retired even through this. So we celebrate those and put their picture on the screen and say, thank you for serving the community for 42 years. We commend you. Our Tree of Life family is rooting you on. We just making sure that everything possible, birthdays, anniversaries, reunions, just doing everything we can just to stay connected. Like he said, through giving. Not only are we making sure we pay our tithes and offering, but we've been making sure that the community that we serve has been staying afloat. I'm giving classes during this time. So that's a resource. I didn't get a chance to answer that question, but one of the resources I'm doing to help people stay afloat in this financial challenge is those who self-employed barbers, stylists, delivery people, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, even those who've been laid off from jobs. Some people is either unaware or underaware how to properly sign up for unemployment. So we did a seminar with Pastor Curtis Whitaker, and we walked through them step by step with the form. I emailed them the form, and they put the form in front of them, and we walked with them step by step to help their family be able to get this money available to make sure that their needs are met. So we just been trying to do everything we can as a church family to stay connected. Even though we are at a time of social distance, somehow, some way, God has brought us closer than ever before. Man, we are closer. We do things called hurdles. Like the sheep, they herd together. So anytime we come together as a herd, before we leave, we ought to have heard from the Lord. So we make sure that we always put a position where we can not only hear each other's voice, but at the end of the day, they hear a word or hear God's voice. So we just been growing in God. I have given out challenges. I've been making sure we do what is called cyber witnessing. Everything we do in physical, we go do virtually. We had over 30, we got 30, matter of fact, 35 on the head. Now 36 members have joined the Tree of Life in the last 4 weeks. We have 22 have given their life to Christ in the last 4 weeks. So what I'm doing, they can't take new members class. So I set all those things up virtually, the handout, the homework assignments, to make sure they become connected, because they just become a part of this church. And it's vital that I get them rooted and grounded to be in a position to fulfill their purpose. We got virtual members.
You on mute.
He on mute. Okay. Kim, pick it up. Give us some final thoughts.
So one thing I want to add to that, because you guys pretty much said everything, though, is for those who can't, who are not connected to social media, or those elderly ones, or people who just refuse to be on Facebook and things like that. You can also do conference calls too, so that you stay connected, because everybody don't have the luxury of that. If there's someone who don't have internet in their home, if you have conference calls along with the social media platforms that help them stay connected, even creating small prayer groups. So with the youth department or the women's department or the choir, whoever it is, making those small prayer groups to stay connected within your ministry that you were involved in church, that also helps keep you connected. But some final remarks overall is that I want people to stay encouraged during this pandemic, to remember that we cannot control the outcome. We can't control tomorrow. Only God holds tomorrow and know what's coming. But remember that we can control ourselves. One thing that I say all the time in my practice and on my podcast, when I end it, I always say, let's take back control of our thoughts. And the way that we do that is to constantly be in tune with what we're thinking. Do some thought stopping. Like I said, take a step back and evaluate your thoughts. Look at what's rational versus irrational. Pray, and also do a lot of journaling. When we journal and put things out on paper, it takes that weight off of us, because we've gotten it off of us. So if a counselor's not available, your mom's not available, your best friend, your pastor, pen and paper is always available. Write it out on paper and let it go. Remember that this won't last always, but you want to come out of this thing recognizing that if this is the new normal, how am I going to adjust my thinking and my way of living so that I can keep moving forward and not allow this thing to debilitate me?
Amen. Elder Tavell Grant, there's been a plethora of people in the comments that just asked for prayer. I want you to go ahead and close us out with prayer. Hey, we want to thank everybody who tuned in on today. We might have to do this again. Who tuned in? I want to thank Dr. Eric Boone, Elder Tavell Grant, my sister Kim for coming on. I hope that you was encouraged by this. They gave us some powerful nuggets. I want to shout out my pastor, Pastor Isaac Culver, Bishop Tavis Grant, Tavell's pastor. This is going to be on replay, so you can come back to our church page and watch it to get more nuggets. Direct people here, if you feel like they're being discouraged or overtaken mentally by this, direct them to this page so they can be encouraged by this. But Elder Tavell, there are a lot of people on here that say they just need prayer. I want you to go ahead and pray us out.
Let us pray. God, I thank you indeed for this precious day that you've allowed us to have. I thank you for allowing us to come on this Facebook Live and those who have viewed. But I ask right now that you would touch them. Your word tells us that if the righteous were to cry, that you would deliver us, that you would help us, God. And I'm praying today that you would help somebody. You know their situation. You know their thought process. You know what's on their mind. You know what's hindering them. You know what's holding them back and holding them down. And I'm asking that you will reach down your hand of love, your hand of care, your hand of power, and pull them out of that situation. I'm asking right now that as we try to endure this season, that you would strengthen us in our weakness, God, that even in our misunderstanding, that we would have peace that surpasses all understanding, that we would understand that our peace comes from you, that we would understand our hope comes from you, that we would understand that in this season that you will comfort us in our sorrow and you will give hope to the hopeless. And I just believe that somebody who is watched today will be changed. Somebody today will feel different. Somebody today will be better because they've heard the message that you placed in each one of us. So, God, I thank you in advance for what's going to happen in their life, God. I thank you in advance that someone's mental health is going to improve. I thank you in advance that someone's depression, anxiety is going to be reduced. I thank you in advance that the enemy is taking his hand off of their mind, and you're going to let this mind be in them that was in you. And I believe it now, and it is so. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you
Amen.
for tuning in. We'll be back. This was a strong panel. And thank y'all for watching. We love y'all. Have a good night. Peace.
God bless.
Good night, everybody. God bless you.
Love you all. God bless you.